just the very beginning thing that I wanted to talk about is what a medium is. It sounds like many of you are familiar with the topic or the general subject. A lot of people think of mediumship like Teresa Caputo, or the television mediums that are going around and they're speaking to everybody's dead relatives, and that's kind of their thing. And that is partly what a medium is, but there are more spirits in my experience and from the many people that I've talked to, than just people that have passed away and are related to you. There are more people that would like to speak to you and give you messages than just people that were in your lives or your ancestors. Um, and so I tend personally, um, to get more messages from what most people would refer to as their spirit guides, or a lot of people connect with angelic presences, whether you believe in angels or demons or anything like that. A lot of times it's like when you meet a person and you speak to them, it's going to come through your filter and it's going to come through their filter. So a lot of times the language that's received is the language that's going to be understood best by the people that are on either side of the communication. So now that can make it a little bit rough for me if I don't connect with either of those types of communications or definitions. That takes a little bit of figuring out on my part, how do we translate this message in a way that is true to what's being given. So that's kind of my general definition of what a medium is, who we speak to. I believe that everybody has the ability to, in some way, hear messages from spirit or speak to spirit. There's just some of us that, for whatever reason, are more open to it, tend to be more, have them more drawn to us because we can hear them a little bit more clearly. I was saying earlier, since I was like 3, I used to have dreams of people standing around my bed trying to talk to me while I was sleeping, which for a 3-year-old was terrifying, because I'm like, who are all these people in my room trying to talk to me? And also seeing spirit out in the fields, out in the forests, and not realizing until I was a little bit older that not everybody could actually see and connect with those people that I was seeing and connecting with. So it can be a little bit scary for people, I think. And I think that's why a lot of times people will say, I can't connect to spirit. I'm not getting messages, because there is a little bit of vulnerability in that idea that someone can come into your home or speak to you, not out loud in a voice, but messages in your head, or things moving around where you can't see the source of why is that making that noise, or why did that cup just move on its own, when they're trying to get your attention. My son also has the ability to see and talk to spirit. He's at an age where that's not cool, mom. So he's not really that into it. But basically I've tried to explain it to him where a lot of these spirits that people perceive as aggressive, if you were trapped in a place where you're talking and you're talking and you're there and everybody's just ignoring you, you're going to do whatever you can. You're going to make as much noise. You're going to do whatever you can to get somebody even just to acknowledge that you're there, even if they're scared. So a lot of spirit to me even if they come across as maybe a little bit belligerent, a little bit threatening, a little bit too strong, um, a lot of that can be alleviated with just a little bit of, you know, okay, we can hear you. You don't have to, be so aggressive. Um, just a little bit of, I tend to try and think of spirit as another person. So what kind of understanding, what kind of compassion, what kind of bridges am I willing to try and build to facilitate this communication and to be able to get these messages and to speak. At the same time, that goes the other way too. Sometimes you have to draw boundaries with people, and sometimes you have to draw boundaries with spirit. So, and that's something that's possible. So, that's kind of my thing of what's a medium and kind of where does it come from and how does it all work. And I'm sure if you have any questions, we can do that in the question and answer session. I was just going to kind of talk a little bit about how it works for me. It's more specifically now rather than in the general sense. I have spoken to people's past relatives. That is not something that I tend to, I guess, specialize in. It's not something that I really do for clients unless I tell my clients, if you come for a session with me, I'm going to receive messages and speak to whoever shows up. Because of who I normally work with, and how I studied for my own personal journey into kind of wrangling my gift and making it work for me in a way that didn't disrupt my life and make me scared, because for a long time I was scared of it because I didn't understand. I tend to work a lot with guides, with spirits that are willing and able to step into roles to kind of help you along the path that you're choosing to grow as a person, to achieve goals, to just shine your light. So those are the kind of guides that I've kind of gathered around myself and who have appeared for me, and that have agreed to kind of work with me in facilitating communication with other people. So normally how it works for me is that my spirit team, how I kind of think of them, like if I have like a little administrative team, those are my spirits, and it's kind of funny to think of them that way, but they're kind of like they've each got a role for me, and they kind of screen for me who's talking, who gets through, because at a certain point as a medium, I go places and I joke, if I went to Machu Picchu with Anna, she'd probably have to hold my hand and lead me around, because I'd just be like, oh, look at all the people. Like, I would not be totally in this world. I'd be wandering off. So, to me, it was necessary to kind of gather that spirit team and get kind of a system so that it's not constantly words coming at you from everywhere and you can actually function in the world. And I think a lot of people that don't resonate as a medium kind of do that naturally. They filter that stuff out, or they don't have that constant awareness of those voices and in those people there. So they also provide some protections for me, because in my opinion and my experience, there are some spirits out there, just like there are people out there that don't necessarily have your best interest at heart. And so my spirit team does help me to kind of filter that out and deal with those sorts of things. So to me, that's the biggest importance of my studies and learning to very deliberately speak to the spirit world instead of just letting it happen to me, kind of working within it and becoming an active part in that, a participant instead of somebody that it's happening to. I was saying earlier that I believe that anybody can get messages from spirit, some more clearly than others, but it is something that you have the ability to practice, you have the ability to open yourself to if you choose. Now a lot of people, sorry, I got a little off track there. And if I'm looking off into space, just so that you know, I sometimes my guides are speaking to me and I'll just kind of, my eyes will go someplace else and I'll be talking, but I'll be kind of looking off. So I'm not ignoring anybody or zoning out. I'm just hearing. My hands go everywhere. So people hear in all different ways. I tell people if they want to start developing a relationship with spirit and hearing messages, use what's around you. You know, ask if you want a sign somebody's there. Turn on the radio, listen to what song is playing. What message do I need to hear? Turn on that song. What's that song? What does it mean to you? What is it saying? I've had signs driving down the expressway and look up and see there's a billboard and it has a certain picture on it. And it has meaning for me. And it's something that I've been thinking about. And I'm like, okay. I tend to, when I do readings, I will use cards, and I'm not a tarot reader. But I will use oracle cards or tarot cards because that helps me to clarify the messages that I'm getting. And it's the same thing with everybody. If you see a certain commercial, if you hear something, a lot of times everybody will have a feeling or something will pop into your head. And you question it or you don't think about it that way. But if that pops into your head and you're like, oh, where did that come from? And then you want to confirm it, you can ask for a sign, whatever has meaning to you, and whatever you think you would notice. And that's a great first step to being able to just communicate with the guides and spirits that are around you. So, I'm looking over my notes here because I think I talked a little bit fast, but dreams, oracle cards. And I would also say, don't be afraid, even if you're not hearing messages. I'll assure you, you do have guides, you do have spirits around you that want to help you, that want to be there for you. And, you know, you don't necessarily have to hear them to be able to lean on them if you choose that. So don't be afraid to talk to them. You know, don't be afraid to not feel alone because you do have someone there with you that wants to be there with you and help you. So